Ukraine continues to suffer blackouts and casualties as Russia fires a new barrage of missiles targeting the country's power grid.
Right, to the war in Ukraine now, where the government is warning of more emergency blackouts after Russian forces again hit power infrastructure with airstrikes. Russia has fired a barrage of missiles at targets across the country for the 8th time in 8 weeks, just as blackouts were due to end. Disruption to the power grid was reported mainly in the east of the country. Ukraine says that 4 people have been killed. Experts say that Russia's tactic of hitting infrastructure is designed to demoralise the population. Meanwhile, Vladimir Putin has been filmed driving a car across a bridge linking Russia to Crimea following its repair from a truck bombing in October. The 12-mile bridge is important for supplying food and ammunition to Moscow's troops.
Well, to Ukraine now, where there have been electricity blackouts in parts of the country after Russia fired a new barrage of missiles aimed at disrupting the country's power grid. They came hours after explosion at 2 military airfields in Russian territory, which Moscow has blamed on Kyiv. Tom Brada reports.
An alleged Ukrainian drone attack deep in Russian territory. Unmanned drones were intercepted over 2 Russian air bases in Saratov and Ryazan, hundreds of kilometres from the border.
The Kyiv regime, in order to disable Russian long-range aircraft, made attempts to strike with unmanned aerial vehicles at 2 military airfields.
According to Russian officials, 3 servicemen were killed and 4 more were injured. Ukraine has not officially commented on the explosions. However, its Air Force tweeted what happened, together with an emoji and images of what looked like a badly damaged aircraft. Satellite images from Sunday appeared to show a fleet of Russian bombers at the Engels airbase in Saratov. They're capable of firing cruise missiles, one of the key weapons used against Ukraine. Earlier that day, President Putin was visiting the scene of another recent attack. In a show of supposed strength, he drove across the bridge linking Russia to annexed Crimea, less than 2 months after it was torn apart by an explosion. Reports of this latest attack are likely to embarrass the Kremlin. And just hours after the news broke, Russia launched a fresh wave of missiles.
Both of my neighbours died. They were stood by the car while seeing off their son and daughter-in-law. They went outside to wave them off and were killed.
Ukraine claims it shot down the majority of Russian missiles. Moscow, meanwhile, claims it struck all of its targets. Beyond the human casualties, a major victim once again was Ukraine's power grid. Areas in the south were left entirely without electricity, a potentially deadly problem as winter weather arrives.
Temperatures have dropped below 0 in most of the country and reached -8 degrees in Kyiv. These repeated attacks on the energy system are putting millions of civilians at risk.
Russia's coordinated assault on Ukraine's power grid began on October the 10th, just days after that bridge attack in Crimea. This latest alleged attack is perhaps another sign that the war isn't going quite as the Kremlin would have hoped. Tom Brada, BBC News.